Hey guys, how's it going? So today I wanted to do a different kind of video and give you a tour of my home office slash music studio slash YouTube studio, essentially a small tiny room where I do everything that is related to my work or hobbies or YouTube, and show you some behind the scenes, I guess. But before we get started, I want to put out a disclaimer in there that a lot of things that you'll see here are things I've acquired over time, that are things that I've wanted, not necessarily needed. And that distinction is important because this is a software engineering channel, and a lot of things that you see here aren't things that are going to help you at all to become a better software engineer. If anything you want to take away from this video is perhaps some inspiration to set up your own space, maybe some motivation that gives you some push to try to become better and eventually have a space like this on your own, or whatever that may be. But definitely do know that this has nothing to do with becoming a good software engineer. With that said, let's get started. So the theme of this desk is to have focus and sort of put things together that inspire or motivate me. If you see above the desk, I have things that actually motivate me. I've got my favorite books, some lenses and camera. This is a model of my first M car. All these things together help me maintain focus and kind of inspire me to work harder, if you will. And then there are other things there too. I've got my Wayne Rooney jersey that's signed, who's my idol in sports. And there's Michael Schumacher, some of my favorite bands. I've also got my own logo of Good Beer, Great Code that shows that if you put your mind into it, you can create things. So overall, you get the idea. The space is kind of designed to keep you focused, but also at the same time, keep you inspired and motivated. But let's get to the desk itself. The center of this setup is my new monitor, which is a BenQ PD3220U, I think. This is a 4K display. If you recall, I used to have a giant 49-inch Samsung CRG9. The reason I let go of that giant monitor and switched over to the BenQ is because it's hardware calibrated and super color accurate for color grading. It's got 100% sRGB coverage, and you can switch easily to modes like Rec 709, which is what I use for editing my videos. And then you can also switch back to MacBook. It's got this handy dial where you can adjust the brightness if it's during the evening, remove blue light and things like that. And on the side here, the vertical one that helps me write code. If I really want to focus, I kind of just like switch around and orient myself to that screen and then just have the giant screen full of code. So then I can see more real estate vertically. This is basically the same monitor, but only in a 27-inch screen, so they're kind of both matching. So the monitor itself doesn't really sit on this shelf. It's actually on its own stand right below, but the shelf kind of slides under it, so it doesn't have to bear the whole weight of the monitor because it's kind of heavy. But the shelf itself is made by GroveMade. It's walnut and it's super aesthetic but minimal. And I like that it has little spaces to put your notes or pens and some chargers like I've done there, some SSDs. And I think it just fits the aesthetic of my space. And the shelf itself is sitting on IKEA desk. The whole desk is not from IKEA. It's actually just the countertop that's from IKEA. It's the Carlby countertop, if you're wondering. It's 74 inches wide, and it's sitting on a frame from Autonomous called the Autonomous Smart Desk 2, I think. And it's a great desk. I think I got it, the combination of the frame and the countertop maybe 3 years ago, and it's still not broken, so why replace something that's not broken? I really like it, to be honest. It works for me. It's nice and minimal, looks nice aesthetically. So let's move on to my keyboard. which is the Keychron K2 keyboard. It's a mechanical keyboard. You can do RGB and all sorts of things, but I generally am not a huge fan of full-on RGB in your face, so I just like to keep it in one solid color. One really nice feature this keyboard has is that it can switch between Windows and Mac modes, which is really awesome because I keep switching between Windows and Mac as well, so this keyboard can kind of adapt to that. It also has either a powered mode that I've connected it right now that can charge as well as connect directly to your computer, or you can put it in Bluetooth mode where it can switch between three different devices in Bluetooth. So it's pretty handy, it's nice and ergonomic, and I like how it feels in general. It's heavy, sturdy, super nice. My keyboard over here is the Logitech MX Master 3. This is an awesome keyboard with awesome features, feels really ergonomic when you actually put your fingers or your entire hand on top of it. And I love that this has this infinite scroll feature, which is kind of a magnetic scroll that if you just do it normally, it kind of feels like a good resistance, and you can hear the clicky, or you can feel the clickiness of it. But if you want to scroll really fast, and if you just like kind of have a swipe at it really fast, it keeps spinning infinitely without you touching through a magnetic motor, and that's really awesome. Same thing with this one, it's Bluetooth. You can connect it with wire, USB-C as well, but you can have it in Bluetooth and you can connect to three different devices. So whenever you switch from Mac to Windows, it automatically switches to the new machine that you're using. So that's pretty awesome. If you're wondering what those little things are here, those are from Delta Hub. They're called Carpios or Carpio 2.0. These are wrist rests that are ergonomically designed to prevent repeated stress injuries like carpal tunnel syndrome and other injuries that can happen because of your posture and constantly typing in a keyboard or using a mouse and things like that. The idea behind it is that rather than having a full pad or wrist rest where you have to kind of lift your hand to grab the mouse, you just put your wrists on top of these, and then they also provide this nice felt material as a base that helps the wrist rest slide really smoothly on top of it. So you put your wrist in there, and then you have your perfect position for typing. You never have to lift your hand, you type on it. And then as you move your hand to the mouse, you never lift it. You basically just slide the wrist rest, use your mouse, and then just slide it back and then continue using your keyboard. So it's super comfortable. It really helps your wrist relax, and then you don't have to worry about repositioning your hand and things like that. So for audio and video, I have the Logitech C922 Pro, I think, and I almost never use it, but if I do need it for video conferencing or anything like that, it's there. For my mic, I have this extension over here. That's the Shure SM7B. This is a phenomenal mic. It's used in the podcast industry or in the radio industry where you get the deep voice. I really like this mic, but when I'm not using it, it can just like tuck away behind so that it's not like dangling right in front of my face. For speakers, I have the Atom Audio T5V studio monitors. They're set up to be perfectly in equilateral triangle where I sit. I just need to put my chair slightly behind where I'm sitting, and those are phenomenal. They're at the right height. You want your tweeters to be at your ear level. For headphones, I also use studio monitors that are the Sony MDR V6. I think I got them literally like 12 years ago, and they're phenomenal. The headphones are sitting on top of a stand that is also made by GroveMate. Like I said before, they make really aesthetically pleasing but also functional, minimal desk accessories. So I really like that one. And right under the shelf here, I also have a small little MIDI keyboard that I use when I'm recording some music, or if I just have to figure out what key certain songs are in, or just produce some beats and things like that. It's a little bit dusty, as you can see. I've not used it for a while. And the center of this whole operation that drives everything is my 14-inch M1 Max MacBook Pro that is also sitting on top of a stand that's made by GroveMate. GroveMate sent these products to me to try it out, but they've not had any input in the making of this video or have not told me to say anything in particular. I just genuinely like their products. So if you like them as well, and if you want to try it out for yourself, you can use the link in the description below to get a 10% off. The code is UTSAV10. or just use the link in the description below. That's easier for you. And everything in this desk is connected to my MacBook Pro via two USB-C cables. One is a Thunderbolt, the other one is a normal USB-C. The Thunderbolt one drives these two giant monitors, and the regular one is connected to all my peripherals, so I get to power everything. So that's it for the desk setup. So let's move on to this side. That's actually my YouTube setup, and take a look at that. So this is the angle that you see, not from this camera, obviously from that camera when you're watching most of my YouTube videos. And this is my whole YouTube operation right here. Just like with the desk setup, where I said that the theme of the setup was focus and inspiration and motivation, this also has a theme, and the whole idea for setting this whole thing up is to make sure that I have the least resistance when I want to make a video or when I have an idea. So it should be basically press a couple of buttons or just turn on a switch and it's ready to go, and I'm recording content, right? As you saw earlier, I've hooked everything up with either Alexa or Siri, and I can just fire up the prop lights, the key lights, the room lights, the hair lights, everything that's out here to turn everything on. Everything's set up, and then I'm just ready to go with one press of a button. I mean, it's probably more than one button, but you get the idea. At the center of the whole operation here is this Blackmagic 8M Mini Pro ISO, and this is basically a mini video switcher that's super powerful and can do a lot of fancy stuff. This is probably overkill for my setup because I don't really do live stream or broadcasting or anything like that, but what it does help me to do is quickly switch camera angles. Like, so this is my view that I can see. Then I've not connected anything here, but I can switch to a second view that's an alternate angle for a different camera. Then I can do 3, that can be my iPad that's connected to a teleprompter that can have my scripts or some talking points that I need to remember. Number 4 can be connected to my MacBook Pro, that's like just like recording my screen when I'm doing like tutorials or things like that. And then this multi-view is basically a snapshot of everything that I see here. So I can either use this and connect it to live streaming services like YouTube, Twitch, and stuff like that, and switch these angles on the fly, or I can have it all recorded in this nice little SSD and have feeds of all cameras at a very high quality. Okay, so let's move on from the 8M Mini. On the left here is basically a nice monitor that just lets me monitor what I'm doing or which angle I'm switched to, or kind of see my audio levels and if everything's fine. If I hit record here, for example, so now this is actually recording me as I'm talking to you, and that's being recorded over to the SSD, and you can see it'll tell me how much time I can record, how much space is left in the SSD, and things like that. Over on the far end over there, on top of my monitor, is my audio recorder, which is the Zoom H6, I think, or H4, I forget. I think it's H6. So it takes the input from my XLR shotgun mic over here, which is the Sennheiser MKE600, I believe. This needs phantom power, which is like a low power that turns on the mic and gives it some boost, so that audio recorder can provide that. So this mic records all the audio that you hear me talking in all of my videos, goes into the Zoom H6 that does a little bit of compression, padding, and kind of noise gate and things like that. And then the output of that again goes to the 8M Mini that mixes it with the video, and then that's what I have to edit. Moving on from the H6, that over there is my main camera. That's a Canon EOS R with a 16, is it 16? No, it's a 35mm lens. In front of that is a small teleprompter that either lets me to look at myself or have some notes on my iPad and kind of have some key talking points in front of me. Right below that is a small video monitor that if I switch it to say like this, it will give me a histogram of what I'm doing, if I'm overexposed or underexposed, things like that. But yeah, this is how I usually sit in front of the camera when I'm talking to you. So now you see where that recording is happening from. And then over there, I've got 2 lights. This is my key light that powers everything. That's my fill light that's low powered. They're both on dome, softbox dome, or dome lights, soft domes that are on this honeycomb grid that kind of helps with light dispersion. That basically gives me the light that kind of lights up my face. And if you look at where this light is hanging on, those are two Manfrotto poles. You can either set them up vertically or horizontally, and they kind of help you hang stuff so that they look neat and tidy and they're kind of out of the frame of the camera. I don't know how much weight they support, but they're doing pretty fine here. And while you're looking at it, you can see that I have some more contraptions over here. One that hangs my mic, the other one that's set up for a camera. I can hook up the camera over here for a top-down view to either make thumbnails or do product shots and things like that. Move on. And the final section of this room, or the third section or third space, if you will, is my music setup here. These are a bunch of guitars that I've owned. I've got like a couple of Kirk Hammett Signature Series guitars, ESPs, and then I've got a Ibanez Prestige over here. I've got a PRS Standard, and then I've got a Jackson DK2M. If you move over there, you'll see I have a Epiphone Les Paul and a Yamaha acoustic guitar. For the sound output, I have a Marshall TSL20 over here. That's a tube amp head. It's pretty powerful. And then I've got two Marshall cabs. Usually I'm plugged in directly to the tube amp, and then I'll just like crank it up. But given that this is like a residential area and there are neighbors and stuff like that, I can't just like crank it all the time, because even at like 5%, this thing will start like shaking walls and stuff. So if I'm not doing that, then I have my Neural DSP Quad Cortex over here that I plug into. And that kind of drives either the cabs. If I don't want the cabs, then I'll just use these Edifier speakers over here to go from my QC directly to my Edifier speakers, so that I can simulate various different combinations of amp heads and cabinets. Yeah, so this side being the music side, I've obviously put some more things here. Like I have the lyrics from Master of Puppets that was actually handwritten by James Hetfield. It's not that original one, obviously it's a copy, but I still put it there because they're one of my favorite bands. Over here, if you look at it, I have a bunch of concert tickets that I've attended over time. These are probably 15-20% of the total concerts I've attended. They won't even fit in this. I need to add more of them here, but these are some of my favorite ones. And that's basically it for the music side of things. So as you can see, this space is designed to be three very different but functional areas in my workstation, YouTube, and the music side of things, where when I'm working, all I want is to be focused and see things that inspire me, with a big screen, on top of that books and stuff that kind of motivate me and inspire me to do better. No other distractions, nothing else. But when I'm facing this way, all I see is two giant lights, my camera, my monitor over here, and this kind of makes me in a state of mind where I'm recording videos and I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm focused. I feel like I'm talking to my audience over here, and that helps me out a lot. And then when I'm relaxing or I want to do music, I kind of face that way, and like you saw before, that's all about the music side. I have like things from my favorite bands, guitars, giant amps, concert tickets. So it's like a thing around music, right? So that's basically it. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm not really very good at making these kind of videos. I'm usually good at just sitting in front of the camera and talking about software engineering, but hopefully that was somewhat enjoyable or somewhat helpful. I don't know if it was. If you liked it, hit the like button. If not, let me know what you didn't like about it or what you liked about it. And this is not the usual type of video I make. I usually talk about software engineering. So if you're into that, please consider subscribing, hit the notification bell icon and all the good stuff. For monthly Q&As or questions directly to me, follow me on Instagram at Engineering with Utsav. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers. Yo.